We'll get to picks and bans for game number 2 and see how well Allegiance go ahead and what they'll pick. Again, I love watching Allegiance play because of their eclectic game god pool. We just watched a Kukulkan Mercury, give me your solo, win a game. And I love that.
And like, it's just so scary that the fact that they picked Mercury before their last pick, allowing the Fenrir to counter pick him essentially. Like you were mentioning before, the Brutalized chasing him down during the dash. We saw Skeeledon even finding a first blood onto Weekend and then 2 more additional kills. But that didn't deter any of Allegiance. The leadership that they have between Incon and Weekend, they just kept the pedal to the metal. Immediately after that stealth ultimate, finding those 2 kills, that was the confidence boost that Allegiance needed to move forward.
And that's one of the nice things that about a pick like Kukulkan is one of the more interesting things, I should say, is that you're able to. We saw MLC Stealth with, I'd say, 50% of the ultimates. But the 50%
they're zoning ultimates, to be fair.
Sure. But the 50% of the ultimates that hit just completely changed the course of whatever team fight they're in, even so much to be the game, right? Like, that's exciting stuff. That's a fun pick. Susano, a little bit more meta this time around for Weekend. This is so like I said, Mercury was one of the Weekend gods. You think of Mercury, you think of Circuit. Susano fits right on in there. These gods that get in, get out. They're good at setup, but they can handle themselves in the fight. I love these characters. Weekend does too. EnVyUs going to respond with the scariest duo lane this time around with Terra and Jing.
The root into the knockup, the stun into the knockup, take your pick on the side of EnVyUs.
I think it's the scariest.
But Allegiance, though, they're sticking to their guns. Weekend loves Susano, Stealth loves Kukulkan, Kumbhakarna for Incon. I love it because you reduce the attack speed. With the Mez, you're setting up Kukulkan. And then if there's sort of any little skirmishes and pick potentials, Incon wants to get picked off right away just to be able to go into his passive form.
Susano's going to be able to pull players into the Kukulkan ultimate. Naja pick for Skeeledon. This is one of Skeeledon's. This is one of a more Skeeledon pick. I think Skeeledon Fenrir certainly works well. Naja is the character that we saw Skeeledon lean on a lot once he first came into the SPL.
I like this pick from Skeeledon because he's trying to shut down Stealth, take him out of the team fight immediately. That's what you really want to do. Make him panic if he's going to be able to use his ultimate. Just don't allow him any sort of time to aim it.
On her and Chang'e. I like the ban from Allegiance. Chang'e specifically towards Kiki. Kiki likes to play this character in the mid lane. Took a little page out of the console scene, honestly. Console scene was playing a lot of Chang'e mid. Kiki tried it out, absolutely loved it. Fits perfectly well in with what Kiki enjoys playing. Isis along the same regard. Just these control-oriented, sort of support-esque mid laners, not going to be available for EnVy, as EnVy banned out the on her aggression out of the dual lane, and then Amaterasu, just a choice that we know Cope has tried in the past.
And it's going to be Vulcan Naja. I like this combination because you're going to be able to set up the huge Vulcan ultimate if Skeeledon can find anybody into the sky, as well as Terra can set up Vulcan very well in these little 3v3 jungle skirmishes.
There was a meta that we're still sort of in. We're half and half there, where almost every game we saw every composition be drafted, a jungler set up a big hit, Vulcan being one of the primary gods. That's why Vulcan sort of came in. Hunger for More, I think, really started that, and we continued to see it. This was the first iteration. Naja into the Vulcan shot. We've continued and moved on to see different things, even like Kukulkan Susano, but the Naja Vulcan, the classic setup, and EnVy will end up their draft with a Xing Tian in the solo lane.
I can't remember the last time I've seen CycloneSpin play a Guardian.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I predict immediate response from Allegiance off the bat. Go Wrath, invade, don't let the Xing Tian pick up blue.
Yeah.
A Xing Tian without blue buff going into laning phase is one of the most annoying things for CycloneSpin.
So Allegiance have Susano and Erlang Shen. Certainly a good choice.
Absolutely.
And Erlang Shen, you want to talk about Cope. Erlang Shen has been the god. Cope has had a lot of struggles this season. And I think that the first time I ever really saw him have a good, solid game was on this character, Erlang Shen. And this is the character that he's picked the majority of this fall split. And he's done very well with Erlang Shen. Being able to just sort of stay relevant. I enjoy this selection for Cope. I think it's one of his more powerful gods.
It's one of the scariest soul laners to start rotating into team fights. Whenever you have a javelin toss coming at you from the side to find that root and cripple in the middle, that is very impactful coming out of your soul lane. Now, surprisingly enough, Allegiance not going to really look for the invade right off the bat with Wrath. Wants to have that purification to deal with Skeeledon's abilities, which would also set up Kiki, obviously. So being patient instead of all out targeting Cyclone.
We, even without the Wrath, could still see the invade. It's likely to see, or it's possible to see the speed buff into the enemy blue buff invade. You can certainly pull that one off.
Usually it's the mid harpies to the blue buff because you're a little bit closer to getting into that position, but you would still be wanting to have the Wrath just to secure the blue buff.
Of course.
Getting level 2 immediately after securing blue, and then maybe finding a kill off of that level 2 play.
You know, it's interesting. Okay. Yeah, secured. Going to go right the way of blue buff. Nothing out of the ordinary. No invades this time around.
Still going to be another Kukulkan game for Stealth. This time it's going to be against the Vulcan instead of the Nuwa from last game. So I like the style switch up for Kiki. We don't normally see him play this Vulcan because he normally does Nuwa, Aphrodite, Chang'e, that kind of defensive mid god. Yeah,
very different style from Kiki today than we're used to seeing. But I like the Vulcan against the Kukulkan. The turret doesn't get hit. It's very, you got to position your turret well. The Kukulkan has trouble, unlike some of the other characters. They can deal with the turret a little bit better. So, left side, Tian gets a stun, or a root, excuse me, onto Incon. Oceans on the Jing way this time around. PBM on the Terra versus Incon and Venenu. And here's that soul lane matchup we were talking about. Cope on the Erlang Shen versus CycloneSpin on Xing.
It's going to be an interesting matchup because whoever shows up first out of the jungle should win it necessarily. Venenu taking a lot of poke, though. Has to be so careful. He has to pop the health pot. He cannot come anywhere close now to PBM. They might actually start zoning him.
Terra, Jing way. It's too scary. Nice pull into the tornado. It's going to be a fantastic combination coming out. But yeah, watch out for that. Oh man, watch out for that combo.
It's going to be very scary. And that's why they really lean on that strategy for Weaken and Stealth, just to set up one another, whether it's Mercury Kukulkan, whether it's Susano and Kukulkan. That Tornado, as it progresses, once he hits level 9, I'm expecting Stealth to hold on to an ability at level 8 just to max out the Tornado and get a second point into his ultimate. And that could be a good little power play for the boys of Allegiance.
Absolutely something to look out for, but I'm still concerned about the dual lane, man. Incon and Venenu are just... The Terra Jing combination, you root, you jump, or you stun, and you jump, or knock up rather. Like, it's just too powerful. You're able to get off so much guaranteed poke. And the fact that it's guaranteed makes it so damn scary.
And you have sustain, you have damage over time. Great finding the root. Incon's in a lot of trouble, taking a lot of poke. Gonna get stunned out into the knockup. He's gonna go to his passive.
There's the curse formed. Not just yet. Not just yet.
That was close, though.
Very close.
Still doing a good job controlling the laning phase, trading out effectively potion for potion. Looking at PBM, he went for multi-pots, able to out-sustain Venenu, still getting knocked up after the stun.
It's guaranteed, and that's the trouble. And the beautiful part about it, no DR on the knockup.
None at all. Just able to find the follow-up easily. Now Weaken hitting level 5 as well as Skeeledon. It seems that Warrior Tabbies are available for both of these junglers on the right-hand side. CycloneSpin doesn't have much mana, so he's going to have to back and teleport in.
And here comes the rotation out of Cope. Nice knock-up on the Skeeledon, and the pull back again. Taunt is strong, but the purification is going to get Skeeledon out of trouble. Still, the chase is on, just barely out of range out of the javelin. So not going to find the kill just yet.
I love this play. They're going to the red buff because CycloneSpin rotated towards right-hand side. They're going to be able to respect the fact that him alone should be able to secure his own speed buff with his ultimate. And now the red buff, though, electing not to really be pressured, just electing to go for the midway first. I'm surprised they didn't pull the trigger with Skeeledon getting poked out.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask why we aren't seeing a rotation out of this mid lane.
Maybe because the dual lane of EnVyUs is so far pushed out, you never want to be able to deal with that. But on the flip side, EnVyUs, they have this pressure. They're able to invade the red buff of their own.
ALG, on the other hand, on a little bit of a troublesome spot. EnVy going to invade their enemy red buff. So it's going to be a strong look for Allegiance as the Hunter now has a red buff to make this lane even more devastating.
It's so problematic right now for Venenu. This is not something you want to happen to you as an Ullr. You want to be able to look for the plays, not get turned on. And immediately, his red buff's gone, his boars are about to be gone. Left side mid RP is going to be started by EnVyUs. The Allegiance has no presence in the map right now.
No, none whatsoever, and that's one of the problems. I just don't think that you can afford. I don't know if any team can afford to go into Terra Jing way.
Especially with Vulcan.
Sure.
That's going to be a problem.
Just a dual lane pressure. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. That's the problem for me. There's nothing you can do about you get stunned into the knockup. They're both ranged abilities. You can purify once, but it's going to happen to you again next wave. It's too problematic. You got to ban one. You got to pick or ban one. Every time we see this combo, players are just abused.
But look at this rotation from Weekend, trying to find the pick onto CycloneSpin, but a nice defensive ultimate should allow the disengage.
And it certainly will. CycloneSpin unable to find his tower.
There's no teleport now from CycloneSpin. Weekend could still linger around, especially with Skeeledon in middle being spotted out by Stealth, but having the speed buff, you have to take into consideration that he'll be there in about 10 seconds flat.
Cope instead wants to use the opportunity to go ahead and back. I think that's a good choice. He'll be able to heal up, etc. He'll be fine.
And now in the left-hand side, though, between these two hunters, it seems that Oceans went for Warrior Tabby, whereas Venenu, he's going for more of this Ninja Tabby, having a little bit more attack speed.
Well, it's also going to give him a little bit of mana, which is interesting to go with what... It's actually very interesting because attack speed doesn't require mana. Your abilities require mana, which you kind of want Warrior Tabby for. But Ullr operates in this sort of like half and half, where early and mid game he is a mage. He's all about abilities, 3-1 combo, looking for the kill on you, and then late game, just like any other hunter, he's gonna bring it with the basic attack. So the new Ninja Tabby certainly have Ullr written all over them.
Which is why we see Transcendence normally out of Ullr, but I like them to try to go for the mobility, trying to match Jing Wei's style of approach. And now Incon gonna get stunned out of his root. Golthier being started, but it's gonna find the reset. Not much follow-up damage. Incon, though, has to be careful. He got poked down to half.
Yeah, chased out. You can see a good tornado coming out from Kukulkan to sort of zone out the rest of Envy, unable to find everybody else.
Now PBM waiting around underneath in the solo lane, though. Cope is going to be able to get pulled under the tier 1 tower. Just barely out of range.
And there's the ultimate to go help and heal Cope a little bit. So ult for ult, not too big of a deal. Not even sure if Cope needed to ult, but just in case.
Both junglers, though, rotating now for the speed buff out of Allegiance, finding the stun and the ultimate, but I don't think Vulcan's in range.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Here comes the rotation. Just barely out of range is Vulcan, and there's the knockup the other way around. Incon gonna bring Skeeledon to the sky. Nice knockup, just barely can't find it, but Incon certainly will. First blood, 7 minutes in. The fight's still going on. Incon might lose his life for the rotation, but CycloneSpin gets knocked up thanks to MLC stealth. PolarBearMike shows up, roots out Venenu, but it's all good. Allegiance the first team on the board. They will lose their speed buff.
They will lose their speed. They're still holding on to their blue. Cope really didn't have much mana to continue that team fight, and that's going to allow Allegiance, though, with that first spot. Unfortunately, it did go into Incon's hands instead of, your mid laner that you really want, maybe even the jungler, just to get the ball rolling. But still, for Kumbhakarna, that's what you really want to do, because you want him to stay in the front line and absorb all these abilities.
I thought it was kind of funny. The Vulcan ultimate missed by, it was short by maybe half a foot, and then the Susano ultimate missed by maybe half a foot. Both of those abilities just barely miss it. Barely, they were on target. They just didn't have the distance, just barely.
And Incon, though, he had the distance with his just smack.
Smack.
That's something that we've seen, actually, a lot of Incon. When Incon and Allied were playing together,
Yep.
Allied was always playing from behind because Incon would always be getting the first bloods.
There's the pull out of Cyclone. Could be trouble as 3 members are here. Nice taunt out of Cope. Still a lot of damage coming out, and Weekend able to bring kill number 2. Yeah, go back to that. The Incon was always the carry support. There's one of my favorite pictures is the hunter is just used to not having kills when you're sitting next to Incon. I think he kind of sort of shed that a little bit as he came into the fall split. Or Season 3 in general. Incon started being a little bit better at not finding the last hits on the kills, but here he is, 1-0-0.
A lot of players have definitely matured, but it's just an unfortunate thing. You want to be able to secure that pick no matter what, and now still forcing the ultimate for ultimate between these two junglers after being able to kill CycloneSpin, finding the invade onto his own blue buff. Now, this is what you really want to do. We were talking about the invades for Allegiance, trying to focus out CycloneSpin because of the fact that he's a Guardian. Before the Breastplate of Valor comes out, this is a nice power spike for these double, between this Assassin-Warrior combination to exploit the Guardian.
And that's exactly what they're doing. Xing Chen having a little bit of trouble. He's actually 300 gold down to the rookie Cope. So not able to find much success, but neither has Venenu. Dual lane has been troublesome.
He's been getting zoned out by PBM for a long time. That's what allows Oceans to make these rotations. Just now, Venenu is hitting level 11.
And Oceans has been very powerful the entire split. Nice stun into the root coming out from the Terra player. And EnVyUs now looking for the aggression. Incon still very low, being chased down. Venenu being chased down. Venenu jumping away. Incon drops the curse and then turns around. Kiki able to take out Venenu. Just stayed a little bit too long.
He looked the other way instead of retreating under his safety of his own tier 2 tower. And now with Weekend on the backhand side, I think he got spotted out. He's going to be able to get deterred away from Kiki, but Stealth's ultimate is always a threat. Gold Fury being started, but it looks like Allegiance are just going to give this one up.
And Speed Buff going to be invaded by CycloneSpin. He'll toss his opponent towards the ground. There's everybody else from Allegiance showing up. Took CycloneSpin a little bit too long to take that one out. And the jump away is not going to be enough, but PBM shows up. Great support.
And this is the beauty of Terra. The nice knockup, though, from Weekend. Not in position, though, but a nice cripple root finds the kill onto CycloneSpin.
MLC Stealth getting credit for that one. The first kill of his game. Certainly a good look.
And this is why Erlang Shen is such a big factor in these little skirmishes wherever people are disengaging. You find that javelin toss, and if you don't have purification or your CC immune ultimate, you're going to be taking all that follow-up damage.
So we see the Transcendence being built now by Venenu. It's very interesting. I think the boots come online first, specifically to deal. You need the movement speed to get away from a lot of the aggression that this dual lane is giving towards him.
That's what you really need to be a factor. Like, just go into your own tower.
Yeah.
You want the Death's Toll, you want the Bluestone Pendant early on just to be able to kind of clear the wave with the ticks, as well as doing more damage in these little team fights and skirmishes. But look at this, Venenu still getting chased down by Oceans.
Not going to be enough. Ocean's just showing a little bit of aggression there, and both hunters will back. And so he's kind of, when you see the one hunter back and he's not faking it, it's the invitation. All right, thank you. I'll see you in a little bit. We're both heading back home.
Yeah, but Venenu has, Oceans has the advantage with Jing Global Passive, able to make the rotation, share the red buff experience, picking it up for himself, has the opportunity if he wants to pick up boars. Venenu, he hasn't been able to secure his own boars for quite a while.
No. I mean, the dual lane has just had pressure across the board. Skeeledon, even this time around, going to join up with Oceans. Transcendence has been finished for Venenu, for what it's worth. Able to jump. Still, nice dodge. Able to get away from the ultimate. Sanctuary saves his life. Venenu with a very hot play. A lot of hunters would die in that situation. But Venenu able to wiggle, save his Sanctuary for the moment he needs it, and then finds himself safely in the tower.
Really good juking. And now Weekend going to get knocked up by Kiki, trying to defend his own ward. And PBM still lingering around. He could find even more setup with a nice stun.
Venenu still trying to defend under his tower. Jingwei here by herself, able to provide a lot of poke. 13 minutes into this one, folks. Allegiance started off really hot with 3 kills very early on, but Envy has been able to answer back with a single Gold Fury, and that plus a single kill will push them forward about 1,500.
Because even though that was only 1 kill, they managed to poke out the rest of Allegiance, so they couldn't even defend the Gold Fury if they wanted to. Surprisingly, Stealth didn't opt to try to go for the steal using his ultimate. Wanted to play super safe because there were still a lot of abilities for EnVyUs to find an additional kill, and that's not something you want to do, is to fall behind a Vulcan in levels.
Absolutely not, especially when you're a Kukulkan. Got to have those levels available. Here comes Oceans, knock him onto Venenu, able to find a single crit hit. And there's the damage on the other side. Stun going to be missed out by Oceans, or Venenu. He'll be fine.
Still doing a decent job juking right now, but a team fight on the right side mid-Harpies. Vulcan ultimate completely dissecting it into two.
There's a good taunt out of Cope and a knockup from Incon. Still focused on Skeeledon. Can't find an exit. Ultimate out of the Kukulkan won't be good, but Cope finds Skeeledon. And that'll be a 1-for-none so far.
CycloneSpin, though, gonna find two with his own ultimate, finding the kill onto Stealth. They're gonna continue on, though, because of the nice zoning presence from Terra.
So it's a 1-for-1 at the moment. You can see Jungle traded out for mid. Still, Envy playing aggressive. Cope gonna take a little bit of damage and a nice little hit out of the Xing Chen. But Allegiance should be fine.
It's all about the double Guardians from EnVyUs right now. Between the Terra, finding the space control, CycloneSpin mitigates a lot of damage with his Furious Roar. If there's any sort of purifications down, that ultimate from CycloneSpin is just going to get everybody in a position where Kiki's just going to follow up with that meatball backfire.
And we've seen good stuff out of the Vulcan so far. We mentioned earlier on how this is one of the rare times we've seen Kiki on Vulcan, and it's been working out, honestly.
For this time around, he's been able to survive because of the pressure that Skeeledon, Cyclone, and PBM have given him the space. Normally, we talk about Allegiance setting up Stealth with that kind of space, but he hasn't been allowed this because of the fact that PBM is playing this Terra right now.
And he's playing it pretty damn well, honestly. Just annihilating the duo lane exactly as you should. The Terra Xing Wei combo again, very scary. And then being able to transition and find a lot of the zoning potential out of Terra, and then also on top of that, a lot of just the damage and the control.
Very difficult to lock her down too, because the fact that she has this reinforced Greaves trying to survive against all this damage over time from Weaken's Jetstream, from Stealth's Tornado. I like this idea.
Skeeledon gets into the mid lane and takes MLC Stealth to the sky. 3 hits is gonna bring him right on down to the Vulcan ultimate. There's the combination. Kiki gets hit by Kukulkan, but who cares? Envy take their kill for the mid lane and walk away.
Gold Fury is available for them to go into. Without that Kukulkan ultimate, they have nothing to really fear, though. We see Venenu on the left-hand side making the rotation. Skeeledon is a little low, even without his ultimate. Could get targeted out.
Could. Skeeledon will have a little bit of a heal available to him, but again, no ultimate available for the Skeeledon. Really doesn't belong zoning. He's got to play a little bit more aggressive there.
CycloneSpin still being annoying, trying to contest the speed buff, but it's not available. Now in the mid lane, distracting 2 members while there's a team fight around the gold.
And trouble for Oceans here. Nice knockup from Incon. Players on Envy still lingering. Incon 25%, even lower now. Pushed out, passed, and he's going to be rooted. PolarBearMike surrounded by members of Allegiance, but Envy still going to come up the backside. There's the ultimate out of Oceans, finding safety on the right. Still looking for basics. Incon in trouble. Down he goes into the passive, and down he goes for real. Oceans gets credit. 1 kill for the Hunter.
CycloneSpin, though, still diving that tier 2 tower, trying to find the Ullr player. Not going to be able to find it quite yet. Forcing out the purification from Stealth. He just revived, and it looks like he might be dead again if Cyclone can chase.
Doesn't look like he can. Not going to be the case. Trouble over there by the Harpies, though. Kiki finds Cope along with Skeeledon and PolarBearMike. They thought about getting aggressive, but Allegiance showed up right behind.
So difficult to chase down EnVyUs with that Terra walls. Even if he doesn't explode it for the stun, you still have the slow minefield, and just a threat of it being a stun means you don't really want to go there with a Vulcan to follow up.
And plus, nobody fights a Kukulkan in that mid-Harpies area. He's got the ultimate. He's going to hit everyone. You can't miss. You just aim straight. So, take it away from there.
So Allegiance, though, despite losing that team fight, they deterred EnVyUs away from getting the Gold Fury. Still a very close game between the two of them. Only 3,000 goal lead for EnVyUs, heading into the 18-minute mark.
Still a good one, nonetheless. 3,000 is certainly larger than we've seen earlier on. Again, these teams very evenly matched. Skeely again, hot blink with the ult. Weaken's going to be toasted here. Cyclone on the last hit. Kiki gets knocked up thanks to the ultimate out of the Kukulkan, and the Vulcan ultimate comes out in response, but Kiki gets killed by MLC. Cyclone again finds Venenu, and Incon in some trouble here. No passive available, if I'm not mistaken, and he might fall thanks to the dot, barely alive.
So far, it's been a 1-for-2 trade, a great initiation, but now Stealth has to be careful. CycloneSpin is thinking about committing. Instead, just going to drop a ward, get a guaranteed red buff invade. Overall, 2-for-1 in the favor of EnVyUs. A great cleanup kill from Cope on the backhand side onto Kiki.
Plus the jungle invade, everything working out well for Envy here. Going to start with the Gold Fury. And this is one of the bigger plays. Allegiance can make the response here. But
it's only going to be Cope for now. Stealth is lingering behind. He doesn't have the ultimate quite yet. Cope is going to try to find the distraction play while the rest of his boys are coming on the left
Still
hand
very
side.
low, a little bit too low. Cope tries to go for it, unable to really take it out. And that one goes the way of Allegiance.
Allegiance now still going aggressive. A nice little tornado. It's going to be stealth in the sky. A great ultimate from Skeeledon, but there's no real follow-up.
And there's the follow-up of Venenu. Taking out Skeeledon, 6-6. Incon leading the charge. So Cope able to snatch that one away with just the javelin throw. Hot play out of Allegiance right there. Unsuspecting. Did not expect that whatsoever. Cope just... So there are, when you throw the MLC ultimate out there, that's yes, we're gonna steal it. When you throw the Vulcan ultimate out there, that's yes, we're gonna steal it. Cope throwing the javelin out there, that's just, I mean, I'll roll the dice.
This is why the javelin toss does so much damage too. You have to respect it. It has a decent amount of cooldown, and he even walked over the ward with that rotation. But they were more worried about stealth. They didn't know if he had an ultimate or not. They were like, okay, yeah, sure, Cope has the javelin toss, but what's the likelihood that he's going to get it over the meatball backfire?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. MLC stealth ultimate is going to take that Gold Fury 9 times out of 10, right? The javelin throw, what is that? Let's say 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, if that.
I just realized Kiki was dead during that encounter, so
Yeah,
they didn't have much kill confirm onto that Gold Fury, so that was probably more damage than a lot of the abilities that Envy had. Ocean's in-hand probably does more damage.
I guess. I mean, it's just everybody was concerned about the MLC stealth play, not concerned about Cope. Just sneaks it away on the backside.
Now Legion's still in a good spot to hold the game for a little bit longer because you really want to get to that late game form for this Kukulkan. He is trailing behind 1 level, and all it takes is one really good play from Weekend to set up stealth. And now it looks like EnVyUs, they're still looking at middle. We see Skeeledon on the right-hand side.
Speed buff, going to be protected by Allegiance. Very well done.
Still, they're thinking about going aggressive. CycloneSpin just cleared out the right-hand side. They found the tier 1 tower on the right. Left side, though, Allegiance, their tower is very low, so this could be a good opportunity for Oceans with this 2-level lead, with this red buff, the power spike play with the Executioner. Should find it eventually, as long as they're left alone.
Incon gets stunned out underneath the tower, and we're not really looking for it. Shading on the left side. Like you said, that left tier 1 tower, good as gone. So Venenu hiding under it for now, but very quickly I expect Envy to be able to take it. Weekend tries to pull Oceans, but a hot agility on the reflex.
So much damage though onto Venenu, forced to disengage, but it doesn't matter because the ultimate from Oceans confirms it, but he might have put himself out of position.
Should have just turned around and taken out the tower, instead tries to wrap around on the backside, and Envy's gonna greet him there. Thankfully, his team able to stop Allegiance from taking out the Hunter, taking the dangerous pathing. MLC Stealth drops down the Tornado and the ultimate. Not going to find much success, unfortunately. Skeeledon able to take out MLC Stealth. There's CycloneSpin, tossing Incon back into the wreckage. He's going to fall down, and the final hit going on Kiki. Good play coming out from Allegiance.
Great play.
Or
Oceans
Envy, rather.
Exploited that play overall. With that 2-level lead that Oceans had, it was just inevitable for him to dive that tower onto Venenu. Even the engagement from Weekend, finding the pull onto Oceans, it was a great agility away.
And there's going to be aggression for Weekend underneath the tower. Should be enough to keep him out of the fight. Maybe even enough to kill. But a quick escape thanks to Susano. And there's the tier 2 tower going to Envy.
They're not done yet though. Look at the left-hand side. CycloneSpin forcing the issue on the left. This could give enough time for Envy to maybe sneak a Fire Giant if they commit to the chase on CycloneSpin, but they're rather low right now. Oceans has no health to play with around that fire.
So not going to be the option. We can see everybody from Envy, rather, heading right on back to base.
Just waiting for the right opportunity. Now they've got a decent gold lead, 6,000, almost 6,000 rather, in the lead. This is the point in time where the late game form of Oceans and Kiki should be able to confirm kills a lot easier. The members from Allegiance, they're not that tanky, I would say.
Not at all. I mean, you've got a Kukulkan, who is the opposite of tanky, right? Not even, he's got 28 stacks of the Warlock Sancho. Even with the build, not very tanky. Venenu, not a tanky character at all in the slightest. Curious, actually. Transcendence and the Chinsai. Usually we see one or the other, right? Transcendence amplifying the abilities and Chinsai amplifying the basic attacks. Why do we see both?
on the side of EnVyUs, you're really trying to shut down this double Guardians, right? You're looking at Cyclone's build. He has the Ethereal Staff with Pestilence, giving him a large health pool.
Ton of health.
So this chin size is not a bad idea.
I mean, I love the chin side. It's just very curious to see
both.
the Transcendence
Normally
as well.
you don't see both, honestly, but this is a situation where Venenu is forced into this build because of the double Guardians. So the ability to adapt means, like, it's really solid play for Venenu.
Good call coming out from the Ullr. Gold Fury, 25%. Not going to be taken away this time just yet. It's going to be leashed, and there's the team fight. Envy now looking for it, and there's a jump away from Venenu. PBM looking for the stun. Can't find it. Thanks to the Purification. Sanctuary going to last for the moment. Won't be able to stun out Oceans. Oceans needs to find the shot. Certainly will. Loses half of his HP. Weaken loses all of it. KikiSoCheeky on the good side. PBM shuts down his direct opponent on Incon. MLC stealth with a surprise dive bomb out of Oceans. That's 2 for the Hunter. And Cope, the only one left, in a lot of trouble. Knockup on the knockup. Stun not there, but the third knockup will be. Skeeledon. That's 14 in total for Envy. They're going to take out the tower and push forward for a Phoenix.
That's a Dia side. There's no one to defend the left-hand side. The closest member is going to be Incon, but that's not enough time to really go in. The late game damage from Oceans and Naja on Skeeledon secures it for free, and now they're just going to walk away. And they still have enough time to do Fire Giant, I would say.
We'll see if Envy decide to go that direction. CycloneSpin, already back to base.
Looks like they want to secure the buffs away from Allegiance, stripping it away from Stealth, because still one good Kukulkan ultimate can turn the tides of a fight. Without a red buff, you could maybe survive it, allowing yourself to get the red buff onto the Vulcan, and then once your own red buff respawns, you're going to put that on Oceans.
Exactly, so a lot of choices for EnVyUs. There's the Gold Fury going to go down. Cyclone stayed at base for the entirety of that push, just to get enough gold for his Witchblade. He just sat there in base, thought he DC'd.
Witchblade devastates Allegiance, I would say, with Cope being the Erlang Shen. You have the Mink form giving you that extra attack speed. Obviously, Ullr, with his chin size, with his Ninja Tabby giving him a decent amount of attack speed, you're trying to shut down those two guys in particular.
So a good choice out of Envy. Also, I mean, Witchblade is also just a very powerful anti-physical item these days. A lot of protection. So Envy, now with the wind in their sails, 12K above Allegiance. Certainly a different story from game number 1. Allegiance can still win the game in a single team fight. That's the beauty of Smite, but not going to be on the menu, I would say here. Envy certainly leading the charge and brewing up a storm. Right side tower, going to be aggressed. No Fire Giant either, so Allegiance being very, almost too respectful to this single player pushing down this tower.
Ocean, they had to wait for Oceans to pick up the red buff and then rotate towards the Fire Giant, and now securing themselves the tier 2 on the right. They're being so careful because they don't want to give anything in return to Allegiance. We saw them being able to steal the Fire Giant earlier, and this is why CycloneSpin is zoning away so deep just to spot out Stealth from a distance.
And the Fire Giant going the way of EnVyUs, and that'll be dropped. All 5 players have it. And they just went back to base and took out a Gold Fury, so I think we'll see more of the aggression rather than the retreat out of Envy, making the push. All the Phoenixes are gone for Allegiance, and Envy going to push forward.
I don't think that... Okay, so the ultimate from Kiki was used, but I don't think that's even going to matter with this kind of a lead that EnVyUs has at this point. Mid-Phoenix has to be deterred. Incon doing whatever he can just to keep it alive.
Gets 2 in the mez. A tornado dropped by the Kukulkan. Will try to defend a little bit. And there's Cope getting knocked up, and he's in a lot of trouble. 25% immediately. Skeeledon finds a player on the backhand. He's gonna land right on down. There's trouble for MLC Stealth. Half HP for the Dragon, forced out. Phoenix still very alive, and MLC doesn't find anybody with the ultimate. Now, the Phoenix falls. 2 dead Phoenixes. Envy gonna pile on out. Good retreat out of Envy after they get their 2 burns.
Not having that Vulcan ultimate could have secured the kill onto Stealth and maybe win them the game, but still with a very comfortable lead, they're still waiting for that right opportunity to secure the game out. Now pushing it to about 15,000 at the 28-minute mark. Still 5 members with Fire Giant for another 2.5 minutes. This is EnVyUs' game.
Absolutely. I mean, we're looking at the final push here, folks. You're going to see Envy go ahead and just, they're back into base. They're going to full heal, make their final selections, their final buys. It's a Void Stone out of the solo lane CycloneSpin. It's a very good choice. It's going to amplify his damage as well as the Vulcan's damage. Very intelligent. You see the crit build finished off by the Hunter. everything just ready to go. Envy poised to take their win.
Now grouping up on the right-hand side, still pushing down middle. There could be a switch up on the left-hand side. Maybe somebody could split push that as that Phoenix will respawn. There's still going to be 2 more fire waves flooding in the left to allow EnVyUs a lot of time to keep sieging the right.
A ton of time. Left side Phoenix will respawn, however. So Envy have an option. Do they go left or do they go right?
I say they keep going right. There's 2 fire waves to worry about on the side of Allegiance on the left. If anyone goes on left, EnVyUs is going to hard commit 5-on-4 on the right, but it seems that they're still waiting for a very slow waiting game because CycloneSpin, he's not in really position for the right-hand siege.
Envy's going to go for the weaker Phoenix. You can see Skeeledon by himself on the right side. You're going to try and get the sneaky split push against Weaken. We'll see if he can actually pull it off. Left side, however, full team and CycloneSpin in the mid lane. Cyclone and Cope, Weaken and Skeeledon. Skeeledon going to go ahead and join the mid lane. And there's the fight. Envy being taken up by Incon. Venenu just absolutely demolished. Sanctuary saves him for the moment. But the pancake flip and the smackdown by CycloneSpin. Number 15 for Envy. There's another ultimate out of CycloneSpin. Left, mid, Phoenix are down. Everybody is in trouble here. Venenu sitting. Titan being aggressed on. Nothing that Allegiance can do. Half HP on the Titan so far.
And it's going to be EnVyUs being able to find the split, unless Allegiance could find the miracle hold, but they have no abilities. Finding the split is EnVyUs, ending their split so far at 7 points.
I think there was an option there. There was a potential for a good defense, but as soon as Venenu falls, it's a lot of damage taken away, and then the tower and the Titan go down. Very well executed by Envy. Last game was a lot of push, pull, back and forth. Everybody really winding up in different spots. This was Envy just winning. We'll see 6 points for Envy in total this split. And then with respects to Team Allegiance, we'll see 11 points for them.
I would say it was definitely the Terra pick on the side of EnVyUs that won him that second game. The double guardian between Xing and Terra. Now, we saw the dual lane control from EnVyUs being able to zone away Venenu for so long. I thought immediately with that Xing pick, with Erlang, Shen, and Susano for Allegiance, that they would have to go for an invade and try to shut down that guardian.
Yeah, it just wasn't the case. Cyclone really was able to get off to a hot start because of a lack of invade and honestly just a lack of attention to the solo lane. And just look at the impact that Cyclone was able to go ahead and make on this fight. You know, you said it's been a long time since we saw Cyclone play a guardian. Xing is a warrior. I mean, he's got the Guardian stats, obviously, but he's just able to be so offensive, is my point.
He's also able to control a lot of space comparably to a lot of other warriors that can't really match up to Xing with the knock-up into the root, with the ultimate, finding anybody out of position that doesn't have the purification. Yeah, and you have to, like, you don't really have to respect that damage. Like, they didn't have the Vulcan to secure it.
Come on, man.
If they had Vulcan, that was a guaranteed Gold Fury.
I get so tilted because it's really hard. Like, you can't really tell who gets the Gold Furies these days. And, like, when it's a big, obvious steal, but something like that, like, you don't expect it, and it just, oh, come on, man. Well, Cope with the hot play with the Javelin.
He found the steal. Unfortunately, for the rest of his team, they weren't successful in these team fights. It was because of PolarBearMike on the Terra. He controlled just too much space.
He controlled a lot of space, he controlled the game, and he brings it home. Winds up being a split for Envy, but they look a lot better as they head into our LAN phase. We've got PBM, the captain, the leader, the support. I mean, maybe even the de facto coach. He's on the line. Congratulations, PBM. How you feeling?
Feeling all right. A little upset that we dropped the first game, but
that was rough.
Still a pretty good set.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, more importantly, or at least from, you know, when you're playing, I'm sure it's a little bit more intense. But from the outside looking in, just holistically over the fall split, the first 4 weeks of placement rounds, you guys have drastically changed. I mean, you came in as a team that needed a lot of work, and here you guys are looking a lot more confident.
Yeah, I think we started the split like 1-5 or something in terms
rough.
Of our record. Yeah, it was really rough. We were throwing a lot of games. I think I was probably struggling as a shot caller a lot more than I was later in the split, and I think we all just didn't look as confident. And the last few sets have felt pretty good. There's still a few games that I wish we would have closed out that we didn't, but I think it'll be good heading into the group stage. I think we all have a lot of confidence now.
Yeah, we saw a lot of growth. I mean, you mentioned yourself as a shot caller and somebody really running the team. I keep pointing to you and your growth as a leader. I think we're watching before our eyes. You really do that. And Skeeledon, coming into himself as well. I mean, there's no secret that he had a really rough start for an SPL rookie, but right now, the last couple of games, he has been on fire.
Yeah, and we've just been trying to trust each other a little more. He may not show up in his KDA, I don't know how to word it, but like he even made a couple plays in the second game where I didn't really see the opportunities that he saw, and he just did it anyways and just hit a blink nudge out and just completely won the fight and led to us snowballing that game. So we're just trying to work with each other and trust each other more, and it should be pretty good moving forward.
You were talking about the growth of your team, and it definitely showed between the first game and the second game, just picks and bans in general. You guys banned out the Guan Yu. Is that the factor to try to shut down Allegiance, you think?
Honestly, we just didn't want them to have a god where if the game goes to a certain amount of time, they just get this free like sustain, or basically they don't have to really think about it too much. I don't want to call it like brain dead, that's like the more common word, but basically brain dead. It's just such a strong god just for getting to a certain point in the game. That's just how healers are. So we didn't want them to be able to match our sustain. We found in the first game that when the game was even and both teams had sustain between the Terra and the Guan, it was really hard for us to kill anybody. Yeah. And then when we flipped that and we're the only team with sustain, it really helped us out a lot.
Kind of like Xing for you guys that last game, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're super tanky. They couldn't really kill us, and even if they poked us out, we were able to still continue fighting, whereas they weren't, and it's just a huge advantage, I think.
Certainly won you the game. You guys go ahead and take the split. You're heading into LAN. What are you most excited for about this upcoming LAN phase?
Just excited to play with my teammates, of course, and just excited to see everybody, and looking forward to making regionals. I think we have a decent shot. We're all pretty confident, so just trying our hardest and just practicing as much as we can to try to go for that.
Awesome, man. Thanks and congrats again. Any real shout-outs you want to give before we let you go?
Shout-outs to EnVy and all their sponsors, Monster and HyperX, Zowie, DX Racer, all those guys have been a great organization to us, and we love being a part of the EnVy family. And, of course, shout-out to you guys, and hope you have a great day.
Thanks, man.
Thank you,
You
man.
too. Have a great day. That's PolarBearMike, the support, the captain, the leader, and certainly one of the more impressive characters on EnVy. Now, that last one, CycloneSpin played Xing and basically was a really big part of what won the game. You can go ahead and climb his mountain. I'm happy with that one. Incon.
That was good. That was good. I'll give you a pat on the shoulder for that one.
Incon has been playing it. Our team, only teams with top communication and the most cohesive actions will rise to the top of the mountain. I love things like this. I am a long-time World of Warcraft player. Like, coming into this, everybody's got their competitive games, and they're all like esports superstars. I mean, hell, Gandhi was literally the biggest name in Halo. I never really had that, but I was a very competitive WoW dude. And when it comes down to being able to communicate with in this case 5 players to really tackle something like that, it's not just just play the computer. There's a lot of different mechanics that you've got to do to be able to be competitive in these things. There's leaderboards and stuff, so definitely give it a shot, and I guarantee you it's tougher than you think.
Oh, absolutely. Just a lot of strategies you have to implement. You have to have the perfect composition, the perfect item builds, the right relic choices for your team, and overall just a great fun experience. Go play with your friends.
I mean, real talk, I'm out for the rest of the day. I just grabbed these first 2 sets. Next to or somebody else, I'm going to go keep the SPL games on my other monitor and play some Xing. So I'm out. Tully, you sticking around for the game too?
No, I'm done. I'm going to play some Xing Mountain.
All right, well, we're going to team up. I'll catch you guys in a little bit. We've got 2 more matches coming at you for the conclusion of North America. We'll see you in a few.